I'm B and welcome to Modify It For Me, a game series where I take games rated for ages 8+ and modify them to play with kids as young as 5. Today I'm going to be featuring Dragonland by Gameland Games. Now Gameland Games is better known for their Tiny Epic series, and while this game isn't tiny, it's certainly epic. With its 9+ age rating, this game is great for your family with older kids, and today I want to modify it so we can play it with the younger kids as well. Dragonland is a beautiful game and it's a beautiful world to explore. It's a great game that you can pull out with your older children or your friends for a light night of gaming, but we want to modify this so we can play it with those younger kids because the theme just calls to them. First, we're going to reduce the playtime for our littlies with their attention spans. We're also going to remove some of the extra abilities which make the game a little overcomplicated for them. And finally, we're going to adjust and tweak some of the scoring there to level the playing field for our little players. Let's first take a look at these components. We'll keep most of them, with the modification today leaning heavily on the gameplay and scoring. We have this great custom dice tower, the Destiny dice, a player board which folds out to twice its size. We have these cool player treasure guards which actually fold into a castle type structure. We have companion rings. Now these are something we're actually going to remove as they affect scoring and have an additional rule which we'll be leaving out for today. We have our dragon eggs for rescuing, these great little gems as treasure. We have these companion tokens. Now each player will actually receive a set of companion tokens based on their size rather than their colour. And last of all, we have this huge amount of ability tokens here. Now most of these we're going to get rid of. We are going to keep in the unicorn tokens and the witch tokens. Now it's time to set up. So as you can see, we have this great board with its beautiful illustrations and detailed world they've built. All volcanoes will have at least one dragon egg, and these 3 in the center will have 2. Each volcano has a certain amount of gems on it, which is signified by a number written here on the volcanoes. In the regular game, you won't have more than 2 of the same colour on any volcano, but there is a variant in there which allows it to be totally random, so we'll use that. Next, we'll have our dice tower accessible to all players with our dice, or have a designated roller. We'll then place our unicorn tokens on the unicorn stables, and our witch tokens on the witch hut. For our player setup, we set up our treasure guards in front of us and have our companions ready to go. Now the treasure guards are totally optional. If you have kids who don't enjoy the secrecy, then leave them out. Next, we'll begin with the first player placing their first companion in Dragonland. Companions can only enter Dragonland through one of 3 dragon entrances. Those are signified with a dragon mask symbol. One here, and one at the back. Now the first player will take their first companion of any colour they choose, and they'll place it through one of the entrances and move it 1 space out. The next player will then place one of their companions, and once all players have placed their first companion, it's time to start playing. A game of Dragonland is played over as many rounds as it takes for all of the dragon eggs to be rescued. Once the last dragon egg is rescued, that's the end of the game and players will count their score. Now players will be moving companions around the board trying to rescue dragon eggs and collect gems of the same colour as their companion token. That's why we have different size tokens rather than different colour tokens. Play begins with the first player rolling the Destiny dice. The player will then select one of the die, and they'll move their companion that amount of spaces. So I rolled a 1, I'll move my companion 1 space towards a volcano. You'll then select your second die, and I can choose to either add a new companion onto the board, or I can move that same companion 4 spaces. Now in the original game you can only move 1 companion once per turn, but in our modification we'll allow players to move the same companion more than once. So for the sake of this example, I will add a new companion onto the board, and they will move 4 spaces. So move onto the board there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on this volcano, my red companion can either choose a red gem or they can pick up a dragon egg. For this, I will pick up a red gem and place it behind my treasure guard. Racing forward here, we're going to have a look at how the volcanoes and different gems work. So we have obviously the colour gems where our companions can pick up the same colour. we have these clear gems which any companion can pick up. These ones are used as wilds with scoring as well. In the original game, when you move onto a volcano space and pick up a treasure, your turn is over. In our modification, say I'd rolled a 4 and I had moved 1, 2 spaces, we're going to allow them to pick up a treasure and continue their movement. Now this is allowing again for that gameplay time to be reduced and also to allow children that freedom of choice there. If a player moves on to a unicorn space, they will then take a unicorn token from the stables. In the original game, unicorn tokens and witch tokens have special abilities, but for our modification, they are simply a means of scoring. Players will continue moving around the board, collecting gems and eggs and tokens until the final egg is collected. Then we'll begin scoring. So to help with scoring, we have the handy scoring reference guides on the insides of our player treasure guards. As you can see, there are 3 ways to score. There are these sets. You can have 1 point for each random bit, and there's also a negative points rule if you don't have a companion ring. As you might remember, we kept those rings left out for this modification. I think it is more of a complex strategy that is better suited for older children. So we won't be doing any negative points in this game. Instead, we'll actually be adding in our own scoring element where we'll be scoring the unicorn and witch tokens for 2 points each. This gives children and parents an extra incentive to stop along those unicorn and witch tokens along the pathways. So to score, we'll check the sets. So we've got 3 sets here for 30 points. We have 4 random bits for 4 points, and we have 3 of these tokens for 2 points each, giving 6 extra points. I find a way to help children count their score is by having them set their points up in rows like this so they can visually see the sets that they've made. You'll count your scores up using whatever means you need, whether that be a calculator or a score pad, and the player with the most points is the winner of Dragonland this time. So now it's time to level up, which is my favourite part. This is a game that can really grow with your family as you add back in those complexities. The first thing we're going to want to do is extend the gameplay time back out by modifying the movement rules again. So that means that you can only move one of your companions each per turn, and once you pick up something from a volcano, you have to stay there. The next thing we're going to do is add some of those ability tokens back in. Now this is going to be a gradual process. You don't want to be dumping all of those abilities back in at once. It will be too much for everybody. So start adding those in 1, 2, or 3 at a time. This is also a chance for you to pick and choose the ones that you like to try the most, and you can keep the ones that you don't think will suit your family out altogether if you like. The final thing we're going to do is adjust the scoring again. So we'll take those unicorns and witches, give them back their abilities and get them out of the scoring pool. We'll also then have those rings being necessary. So you want to have the companion tokens with rings in order for them to score those coloured gems. Here's a quick summary for you to jump back to if you need a refresher later. Thank you for modifying it with me. I hope you enjoy this series, and I'll see you next time.